Hurricane star Darian Mensah is a top 10 player for the 2027 NFL Draft, and he's the most underrated quarterback in college football.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And on today's episode, we're breaking down former Duke, former Tulane quarterback, but current Miami Hurricanes quarterback Darian Mensah. We're going to explain the grade, give you the concerns, and then kick it off right now talking about the pros for probably the most underrated quarterback in the NFL draft heading into the 2027 NFL draft season, Keith. And had a great season overall. Darian Mensah did for Duke last year, completed 66.8% of his passes, threw for 3,973 total passing yards. He had 35 total touchdowns. And again, guys, for context, this is at Duke, okay? This is not at Florida State. This is not at Florida where you got these high-octane athletes. He did this at Duke. Keith, when you look at Darian Mensah, what he brings to the table, and this is a guy, I feel like, sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back, Keith, because I feel like we were early on Chambliss. I feel like we were early on Dante Moore. You mentioned him, I think, early in the season last year. Once the season got rolling, and I feel like we were early on Darian Mensah as well. So we'll give ourselves a pat on the back. What stood out to you when you look at the pros and the strengths of Darian Mensah's game?
Oh man, where do I start? Right, that's the that's the thing. But what stood out to me, DP, I thought there's real arm talent and velocity that this young man throws with that's not being discussed. I can very well see him entering the draft for the 2027 NFL draft, DP, and people saying like, hey, he may have the best arm of the class. And I think he's a different platform thrower, meaning like he can stand traditionally in a pocket, but rolling out of the pocket, he can throw off of one foot, he can throw off of the back foot, he can throw all arm if he's standing flat-footed. So there's natural arm strength, arm talent, arm power. There's real RPMs where you can even see, and this we want to discuss, well, what I was going to get into yesterday, right, when we're talking about Arch Manning, the difference in velocity on deep throws, where for Darian, you can see the ball spinning and it feels like it's continually climbing, right? Like it's not dying out. It's continually going and allowing the wide receiver to kind of run under it in stride. So I thought he can be a great deep ball thrower, and he's a guy that even when you get into pro days and stuff like that, he should absolutely light it up. I plant my flag on Darian Mensah. Like you do what Dames does. Like this is one of my guys. Like I like Darian Mensah and what he provides.
No, I'm glad you brought it up, Keith, because that was definitely something that stood out to me. That like you said, the off-platform throws, he's a guy that you can move the launch point and it doesn't impact him. It doesn't negatively affect him.
I want to say this. I wonder if he falls in the same bracket for you, but I feel like stylistically we're getting this type of quarterback a lot, and that's the Patrick Mahomes, I guess offspring, right? In a sense where because I'm gonna put Cam Ward there, right? Put Caleb Williams there.
Absolutely.
He has some of that too, in my opinion. And it's a lot of untapped that just kind of scrambling, running around, boom, nothing but arm talent and make the play. So I like all of those guys I kind of put in the same box now. That's up to y'all to rank them, right? But the style of play, it's similar.
No, I like that, Keith. I mean, man, it's the arm talent, the flexibility of his arm. What I like, Keith, is you always like, when we were doing this during the actual draft scene, you typically always start with intangible. I'm gonna start mine with intangible, Keith. Poise. This is a mentally sound and tough young quarterback, Keith, to where you see him. Man, I was watching him against North Carolina. That was one of the first games I watched. I was watching against North Carolina, and they collapsed the pocket where he couldn't, the pass rush did their job. There was no way for him to escape. He couldn't go back door. He couldn't get out the side door, couldn't run through the front. Everything was closed, Keith. And I love the poise of understanding this pocket's muddy and I just don't care. And he just stood in there and just threw a dime down the field. I think it was on a corner route from right sideline to left, right hash to left sideline, and just dropped it in the bucket. He had another corner route to the slot receiver where it was a hole shot against cover 2. And I think it might have been cover 2 sink. And it was against North Carolina again in that situation. They had it was actually, and I think it was smash concept. It was a variation of smash. Slot corner, and I think the outside receiver, because it was kind of a stack. I think he ran like a little out route trying to hold that underneath corner. But the corner, he didn't hold, but he held long enough. Like he took that false step, and that's all Darian needed to see. And he anticipated the throw with such ease and such quickness and just dropped the dime right between that corner. Because the corner definitely flipped his hips and bailed out of there. And I was like, if he doesn't throw this early or doesn't have the arm talent to get the ball there, that's a pick. You know what I mean? If the ball hangs, the cornerback comes underneath and he takes that. Couldn't get the robbery on that situation. Then you see just in the pocket, just that poise, Keith. Like, again, you talk about the arm talent, talking about the off-platform stuff. His poise in the pocket is he looks like a pro quarterback back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's improvising, right? When things aren't right, they didn't go your way. It's improvising and then converting that into a good decision, DP. And I remember in for our everyday is tapped in. I forgot why we talked about Darian Mensah during the season. Maybe it was projecting potential first round quarterbacks because we've been that high on them since probably October, November, right? And I remember going through his season stats, DP, and at this point, he had only 2 interceptions, right? So I think it was 26 touchdowns. And I went on a rant, right? I'm like, why is nobody talking about this guy? He has 26 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He finished the season, DP, with 34 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's a great ratio. That's what you want, right? And in looking at even the interceptions he's thrown, DP, he had close games with UConn, right? And I'm not talking about him, but I'm talking about the level of talent of the team, right? They lost their game 37-34, right? And he had 2 interceptions in that game. And then he had 1 interception against Arizona State where he threw for 4 touchdowns, right? And threw the ball 50 times. So there's a lot to be added to Darian Mensah from the decision-making perspectives to have that volume of throws, right? To be able to throw 36 touchdowns, 34 touchdowns. I'm sorry. To throw 34 touchdowns and then only have 6 interceptions, DP, that's the ratio you want, right? Like that's a 5-1, 6-1, somewhere around there, right?
We don't do math often, but
but and he went a stretch, DP, from week 3 of week 4 to week 10 without throwing an interception, right? Like that's great. That's what you want to see. So I think the decision making is there. And lastly, him as a runner, I think there's more potential there where if you wanted to ask him to tuck the ball and take off, he can do that.
No, 100%, Keith. And I that was the thing is that mobility for him is just, it reminded me of Stroud at Ohio State, whereas Stroud was just hell bent on not running. Stroud wanted to just, and I get it. You want to play from the pocket and that's your game. But what was it? It took the Georgia game where Stroud was just like, I gotta throw all caution to the wind. I can't sit. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, I can't sit back here. I mean, I got a good offensive line, but this is Georgia we talking about. I can't sit back here. No, he started moving, using his legs, and that's when people realize, oh, he's a former basketball player. He's athletic. He just doesn't utilize it. And I felt the same way with Mensah. Matter of fact, against North Carolina in that same game, where I think he did it against Clemson too, where they're playing coverage. They forget about him. The rush get out of their lanes, and he ran for 20. And I'm like, that was an easy 20. Probably the easiest 20 of his life. And nobody paid him any attention, Keith. I think this young man has such high level play. But then also we talked about the arm talent, the mobility. I'll close out, Keith. For me, number one, he did more with less at Duke, as you talked about. The eye manipulation on throws to hold safeties in the middle of the field, talking about coming out and he sees pre-snap. UNC and Bill Belichick, they changed the picture on him a decent amount in that game. And I remember this one specific play that came out and it looked like either cover 1 or cover 3, single high safety, like middle field close. Ball snap, that strong safety rotates back to too high, free safety rotates back over. He does such a great job of reading stuff post snap. He got to the open guy quickly, got the ball out accurate, made a big play down the field. And I'm like, the amount of young players I know or just players in college football at quarterback position that would have been fooled by that. They were like, oh, it's covered. This middle field close. I bet I'm throwing this go route. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, that safety gets back over top, interception, right? So just mitigating the changes from the defense and not allowing it to negatively impact him. This young man is good. He is good, Keith. Good.
He is good. I think that's the perfect way to end off this segment. DP, let's do this, man. We talk pros, let's talk concerns, right? What are some areas of improvement for Darian Mensah? Let's discuss that coming up next.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to still fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Breaking down the concerns for Miami new quarterback Darian Mensah. But before that, get your daily dose of the Locked On NFL Draft completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your free trial, 7-day free trial right now, and get closer to us, your favorite NFL draft analysts, without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or the Locked On NFL Draft.supercast.com to claim your free trial today. Keith, concerns, right? As we always talk about, what goes up must come down, Keith. I would say, for me, you tell me how you feel about it. He has spells where he goes big game hunting. And like, it's just not I don't want to call it hero ball, but hero ball. Like, it's just like you flush him out the pocket, his eyes are downfield, and he's like, I got to make a play. And Keith, we've talked about this, right? We talked about it with Taylor Green. We talk about a lot of quarterbacks. When you play for, and no disrespect to Duke, but when you play for teams that aren't as talented as a Bama, Ohio State, a Michigan, things like that, you kind of put yourself in that mindset where it's like, it's all on me to make sure we win this game. And I see that seep into his game sometimes where he'll go big game hunting. He'll lock onto a read down the field. And we talked about with Arch on yesterday, and he'll try it. And sometimes it might work. Sometimes it might not. But he'll kind of put the ball a little bit in harm's way. I want to see him, hey, you know what? Take the Aaron Rodgers route, throw it out of bounds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if the number one read, that if it's a high-low read, if high is covered and low is covered, scramble out, throw the ball away. You know what I mean? And just protect the football in that regard. Definitely a little bit of some hero ballism in this game a little bit. And, I mean, I don't mind a guy like that. I like play my quarterbacks to be aggressive, but I always talk about being calculated with your aggression, right? Control your aggression and everything. Don't let it put us in bad situations, which he didn't do a ton of. But like the Tulane game, he started pressing. They got down early, and like he's coming off of a read, and like he goes through his progressions. They give him full field reads. Like he'll read the full field, but sometimes he doesn't declare and confirm if that guy is open once he gets to that second and even third late read. I want to see him just get better with that. Like, hey, confirm that guy is open before you just rip the throw. Trust his arm, which is, I mean, I would trust that arm too, but just, just be a little bit more cognizant of that.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, DP. That's exactly where I was going to go. I was looking for a phrase or a term, but I think going through spells is the perfect way to put it, because it's 90% of the time he is locked in, making great decisions, right? That's what we discussed in the first segment. And then it's the 10% where it's like, wait, what you doing? Why are we doing this? Right? Like,
why are you doing that?
Hey, that's not good, right? Like
that's not okay.
Yeah, you're walking on thin ice. You got too much dip on your chip right now. And and it's just one of those things where I don't know if it's, and I tried to, because while you're watching quarterbacks, right, you have to understand that this is, when we watch it back on film, there's no like real life context added, right? In the sense of the fact of, we have to remember, right? Like, there's emotions to this. So like, even the Tulane game, right? He went to Tulane, he left Tulane, right? So you're looking at that situation, it's like, okay, what emotions are in there? Like, what's the current score of the game? Are you pressing in a situation, right? That's when you get the ice water in your veins, or being labeled clutch, like one of the two, right? Because you have to add the real life context. And reason why sometimes, DP, TV copies matter, or watching it on TV live matters, is because when we're clicking through the all 22, right? There's none of that, right? Like, you don't get, oh, the defender just finished talking trash to him. You don't get to see their sideline expressions, right? Or they hanging their head on the sideline, or they tapped out, or they ready to rock and roll, or they walking over and motivating their teammates, or does he have the look of like, man, I know I shouldn't have did that. I got it fixed, right? Like, all of those things are context parts. So I'm with you with Darian Mensah on that situation, DP, that there's just those slight moments, and it turns into 5 to 10 consecutive moments of like, wow, let's rein it back some. And I know that you discussed it because you mentioned Taylor Green, just with a lot of quarterbacks, right? And especially quarterbacks, I mean, because I think you can say with Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, right? That where they felt as though they were the primary engine. And I'm talking about situations where it's not, okay, cool, let me just turn around and hand a football off, and I could rely on my defense to make plays, or I can rely on my running back to run for 150 to 200 yards. It's not those situations. So those quarterbacks are almost conditioned to kind of lean towards taking shots, right? So that's going to be something to pay attention to for Darian, to see what the balance is. Now, him being in Miami is going to be interesting too, because I want to finish looking at Miami in its entirety, right? Like, obviously we know they have the running back, they got Mark Fletcher coming back, they have Tony coming back. But if anything we learned from last year, it's okay, what does the offensive line look like? How good is your second, third, and fourth wide receivers, right? Who is your tight end? Just different things like that to add context, to see, are we going to get a guy that's going to be pressing, or are we going to get a guy that can live in a safe area to where he doesn't feel like he has to make plays every single down.
Yeah, no, and that's the big thing, right? And we watched that with Cam, at Miami, right? That in 2024, they should have been in the college football playoffs, and it was the game Kyle McCord, beat them, and it's like the defense,
season, right?
Yeah, I think that might have been their last regular season game or close to it, and the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed that season. And Cam walked into every game feeling like, I got to be the guy. So when people were criticizing for turnovers, I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's not, you don't want to turn the ball over, but in this situation, it's not many situations in the NFL where the quarterback has to lift the entire team because the defense is terrible and there's nothing else around. You rarely see that in the NFL. Every NFL team has good players, right? That's just every single team. Every college team does not have good players. That is a fact. Like, we've seen quarterbacks, running backs in situations in college where you're like, you know what? You were the LeBron James for the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Detroit Pistons. You scored all these points. You lifted the team up. I hate seeing quarterbacks in college in that situation because it puts them, like, I love what like Kurt Signetti did for Fernando. Hey, we know you're the guy. Game to game, you don't have to be the guy though, right? Like, we're going to run the football. We're going to play great defense. We're going to protect you. And then when we need you to be Superman, put that cape on in the fourth quarter and lead us to victory. And Mendoza was able to do that. I want to see more quarterbacks in those situations, but every coaching situation isn't the same. Every roster isn't the same. So definitely want to see Darian Mensah, just like I said, reining in a little bit at times and just kind of settle himself down quicker. Like, okay, I'm starting, not spiral isn't the right word, but it's like, I'm a little high. Like, I'm a little high. I need to come back down to playing even keel. Like I said, protect the football and keep it away from the defense and allow your like Pop said, man, you live to fight another day. You live to throw another down. All right. We can't be throwing interceptions and stuff like that. I think he threw like 2 against Tulane when I was watching that game. And it was just, aggression and, them tricking him a little bit, right? Like, him not confirming that cloud corner is over there. And I come back to that third read and I drill that throw in that cloud corner. It's like, I'll take that. You know what I mean? It's just like, just confirm stuff. I think mentally there's another level for him from a mental standpoint that he can absolutely reach.
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. It's my favorite part of the show. We're going to explain our grade coming up next. And what are some of the expectations for Darian Mensah at Miami? We'll discuss both of those things coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are here, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. And I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level and layer of excitement to every single game. And it's a really easy app to navigate and makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. And the NBA finals are set. And guys, you can go right now. The New York Knicks are 5.5-point underdogs to the San Antonio Spurs. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you guys. Explaining the grade, Keith, for Miami quarterback Darian Mensah. Keith, let's talk about it. What grade did you give him coming off some?
I gave him a first round grade, DP. That's where I'm at with it. I've seen enough, I've watched enough. I feel like this is a first round quarterback. And I think even towards the end of the season last year, when we were talking about guys declaring, we discussed like, hey, if this guy comes out, don't be surprised if he's elevate himself into a first round player, right? And you go to guys like Jackson Dart and these other players that have these late draft pushes to get themselves into the first round discussion. And we talked about this. There were plenty of teams that could have utilized a Darian Mensah in the first round, right? And also I think that he would have potentially changed decision makers, meaning that I think that that NFL teams would have felt though clearly, okay, we have 3 first-round quarterbacks. Now, maybe some of the free agent signings you don't see, right? Like there are different things that could happen that would have impacted it if they felt like they had 3 first-round quarterbacks there. No,
100%. I think when we talked about it, like, man, he may not have gone top 10 in this class. Like, you know what I mean? Just coming off the season at Duke, you know, how some scouts and some GMs like, he played at Duke, like, you know, whatever. But like, yeah, I think middle of the first round, like 100%. Like, you know, like, yeah, I think he would have absolutely been a first round pick. You know, you think about the Cardinals, like, hey, when we take Jeremiah Love at 3, and you know, you got that pick where they had to pick at top of the second round and all type of stuff like that. Hey, maybe you trade up and you take Darian Mensah, right? And you feel really good about, because I think they kept their second round pick and they took Chase Basantis. I honestly think, Keith, it would have been a conversation if the Rams, you know, at 13 still wanted to go quarterback. Would it have been Ty Simpson or would it have been a Darian Mensah? Because this isn't like a Lenore Sellers situation where it's like, you know, it's so much physical tools. There's still some rawness. This is a high instinct, high football IQ quarterback in Darian Mensah, who's really accurate with the football too. So I definitely think that Sean McVay would have, you know, him and Les Snead, they would have loved. And then it's no rush to play him because you still got Stafford, who's coming off an MVP. So I definitely think he would have been one of the, you know, it would have been him, Mendoza, and Ty Simpson. Just would wonder where Ty Simpson would have fallen if he actually declared. Keith, I gave him a Pro Bowl grade, you know, top 10 grades, similar to what I gave Arch and everything. I'm not gonna say who's higher right now, guys. We got a lot of quarterbacks to go through. All right, we're gonna drop our top 10s and all that type of stuff in a couple of weeks. But again, I love it, Keith. And I'm gonna throw this out here. Watching him at Duke, Keith, if he does it again, it's like, all right, yeah, he is what we think he is, right? What was they are who we thought they were. Like he is who we thought he was. Watching him, I got a lot of feels of Deshaun Watson at Clemson. Like just that smooth operator, poise, athletic.
He was the other. I started to name him when I was naming those kind of freestyling type of quarterbacks, right? I started to put him in that bracket too of just those guys that the mobility allowed for different things to be unlocked, and they kind of started the transition of the mobile / athletic quarterback and understanding playing out of the pocket could be a really good thing for you offensively.
Absolutely. And again, like Deshaun wasn't Lamar Jackson as an athlete. But could Deshaun, if he wanted to run, get you 400 yards a season, maybe 5? Yeah, he was athletic enough to do that. But his game was more so in the pocket. But just watching him throw off platform, watching him get to his reads, the deep ball and the accuracy, I'm like, man, I'm from South Carolina. I watched prime Deshaun Watson at Clemson, and like he was actually Nick Saban. He was a headache for teams. You know what I mean? That game of him and Lamar Jackson both going, throw for throw, play for play. One of my favorite college football games of all time, to be completely honest. And I just was watching Mensah. I'm like, there's some Deshaun Watson in there, right? Like as a player, there's some Deshaun Watson in there where you're like, man, if you put we saw Deshaun with the peak of Clemson in terms of talent around him and things like that. It's like, what will happen if we give Darian Mensah like top tier talent? Well, we don't have to ask that question because he went to Miami. So we know he's going to look like one of the best receivers in the league. He brought over, with him his number one receiver, I think, for Duke. I think Cooper Barkate, he transferred over to Miami as well. Like you talked about Mark Fletcher and everything. They do have to replace 2 starting tackles, Markel Bell and Francis Mawinoa, both going to the NFL, and they are in OTAs and rookie and mini camps and stuff right now. So they got to, figure that part out. But long as they do their job and protect them and they can run the ball, he's going to have the weapons to be able to absolutely cook, Keith. And with his accuracy, I think him and Malachi Tony can do absolute magic in that offense.
Yeah, no, I agree, DP. I think there's a lot to be had. And I hope, because we've kind of learned our lesson last year. I feel like last year was probably like the first year that all of college football embraced the transfer portal, where it was nothing but revamped rosters the entire way through. Is that you kind of want to make sure that this is right before you make some of those declarations, right? Because I want to go as far as aggressive, like Heisman candidate, right? Top 5, right? Like, but we've seen what happened with Clemson, with LSU, with Texas, and all these different teams, to where they still have time to mesh. So we'll see. But I definitely feel, hey, this is a dark horse guy that nobody's talking about at that level. But yeah,
every time I see top 10 preseason quarterback lists for the NFL draft, I never see him. Like I don't see.
Crazy because Miami has done it twice now, where they went and got Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick. They went and got Carson Beck, and Carson wound up being a 3rd round pick. So I mean, the quarterback evaluation of plucking guys from other teams have worked out pretty decent for them, right? Like they've done it. This the 3rd time. So I thought that there would have been a lot more hype around this. But like you said, the Duke conversations probably, name just isn't as big because the thing was probably similar for Cam Ward, right? Just him coming from Washington State. People wasn't as excited about it. It's like, all right, we'll see what happens. So we'll see. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we like to see, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's episode, Keith, I think there's a quarterback that it's 2 actually that we thought should have came in this class, and besides Darian Mensah, and that was what Trinidad Chambliss and Dante Moore. Let's talk Dante Moore on tomorrow's show, Keith. The Oregon Duck returned to Oregon and what that means for him. Talk about the pros, the cons. Did he make the right decision? What we expect for him in this up-and-coming season. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.